Hey, this is Matt Wall. I'm a site selection and location advisor with Sterling Properties Group based in Charlotte. We're back here again with another video in our series called Site Selection A to Z. Today's video is brought to you by the letter P, and the topic I'd like to talk to you today is P for process. I always like to remind my clients that site selection is not just a transaction, but it's more of a process we work through together to accomplish the desired outcome of a well-located store location. In most of these searches, we gather data and research markets and then reach consensus of which are the best sites or locations for our client. Then we go after them. That's the first basic process and what this entire video series of Site Selection A to Z is all about. But it's important to recognize that after you choose which sites to pursue, there are often many internal and external processes that must be followed. And it's your job to get a grasp of who all is involved and how decisions are made so you can help navigate your client through the rest of this site selection process with all this in mind. So if you have a unicorn for a client, like maybe an individual with sole decision-making authority who has an endless supply of cash to throw at an unlimited number of potential projects, this discussion is not for you. But for the rest of us in the real world, it's important to recognize all the internal processes necessary to satisfy all the deal hurdles and contingency before a deal will actually close and how they might be sequenced. Each process will have its timelines, and you need to be aware of how those timelines interact as you enter into negotiations of your purchase contract. So I'll try to describe a few of the most important processes without making a long-form movie here today. One of the first processes you may have to navigate is with your client's real estate committee approvals. Make sure that you're aware of what information is needed for presentation to the real estate committee. How often does this real estate committee meet? And do you need this committee approval even before a formal purchase and sales contract is drafted? If they only meet once a month, there may be a deadline for submittal of materials to get on the calendar. Think about that when you're setting contract timelines for your inspection period. And once you get a site under contract, what are all the due diligence processes and who on your team is responsible for managing that process? I've got some clients with very organized pre-development teams that handle all this. And I've got other clients that ask me to quarterback this process. So in that case, do you have a checklist from your client that contains every item they need? And are you building those timelines into your contract terms so you can accomplish everything before earnest money goes hard? If you're working with a franchisee or more of a local client, is there a bank loan that is funding the project? And what process does the bank go through before committing to the loan? And then what all do they need to actually close on the deal? Anyone working with the SBA, the Small Business Administration, knows there are many layers to this process, and it's best to get a grasp of that process before you negotiate contract terms and timelines with the seller. You don't want to get past your initial due diligence timeframes without knowing whether you have a commitment from your lender. And does your client or lender require construction permits to be in hand before they'll close on the property? As that's often the case, do you have a grasp of how the permitting process works in the city or the town or the county in which you're working? And have you built your contract timelines to accommodate those permitting processes, including some cushions for multiple plan, comment, and review periods with the planning departments? So as a quick recap, some of the many processes you need to manage and incorporate into your contract negotiations and proposed timelines include real estate committee processes, your due diligence process for the site, your banking and funding processes, and then the permitting processes. And there may be other processes that I haven't talked about here. So I hope that conveys the importance of grasping the various internal and external processes you need to be aware of and manage in your role as a site selection advisor. So here's a pro tip. The more you can formalize the processes and summarize them in the form of flow charts or Gantt charts or other visual trackers, the better off you'll be. This stuff can get confusing, and when you've got a full plate of deals in the pipeline, these spreadsheets and trackers can help you stay on top of all the moving parts and processes. Your client may have internal trackers that they'll share with you, and if not, I encourage you to create them with your client's input so you can all help each other to manage these deals better. So that's P for process and our Site Selection A to Z series. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll share your thoughts in the comment section below. Until next week, this is Matt Wall with Sterling Properties Group signing off. Have a great week.